Another fascinating start to a video. It's the 23rd of November today. Hello everybody. We are working on the CG125 again. You might be wondering what Kieran's doing, and it'll all become evident shortly. Anyway, last time you saw this bike, there were no plastics, tank was off it, etc. And as you can see now, there has been a little bit of work gone into this, and it's back together. So
it's got its clothes on.
Yeah, it is ready for an MOT now. I've not yet booked that MOT, but it is ready for an MOT. If you remember last time we saw you, we were debating the side stand issue, namely that there isn't one, and that the budget is not there to buy one. There was some talk about fabricating one, I believe. We've got a little bit of random bits of metal that we've found over the years, but I was at work the other day and in a skip I found this. Ta-da! Which is some kind of stool related item.
Topless stool.
Yeah, so I've chucked it in the car. We're gonna chop this up into pieces and see if we can fabricate some kind of side stand for this thing over here. There is a disclaimer at this point. We are rubbish at welding. What do you think, Kieran? How are you at welding?
Oh, just the worst.
Yeah, I would compete with that. We are not very good at welding. We've not had much practice. We've not fabricated a side stand or anything like this before. We've done a little bit of car body work with not a great deal of success.
It's not the same at all. Thin, piddly sheet metal.
Yeah.
But this hopefully should be easier than thin, piddly sheet metal, because you can just splurge more on it and just grind it off.
Well, this could go either way, couldn't it? It could be either a catastrophic failure or a monumental success. So let's hope for the latter. Let's get on, get some chopping done. And that's how you turn a stool into a pile of metal in about 5 seconds. What's it looking like?
Modern art. Oh, the tube, yeah. I think that should be sufficient sort of girth. And,
sufficiently girthy for you?
For you, John, to support your weight and of the bike, really.
We left some little nubbins on, just on the off chance that we could use them. We can always cut them off later.
Might be able to get the springs or something, depending on if it's the right sort of distance, to then give it the old whoop.
Yeah. So we're going to take all this lot into the garage and see what we can come up with. Here we are then. It's looking like it's going alright so far. Kieran's just been having a look while I've been tidying up the cables and stuff. And this bit, which was at the top of the stool, looks like
almost perfect for the task.
It looks like it's pretty good. I think we'll have to take a bit off the top there where the curve is, and obviously put some tabs on and maybe clean it up and put some kind of footing on it. But in terms of the bend and the length, I think that's pretty good for a randomly chopped piece of metal.
I mean, they are the criteria. You've got to get the bend and the length.
Got to get the bend and the length in. Okay, so let's chop this a little bit more and see where we end up. Right, so we've tidied this up a bit. You can see we've just ground some of the excess metal off there, put a flat end on this end. So the next step is, if you think this is going to sit roughly here, we need the 2 tabs so we can put one at either side of this hole, so we can get a bolt through. So we're going to use for this some of the flat stuff that came off the top of the stool, and well, we're just going to offer it up and see how it looks and make a decision from there. This is what we've got now then. We've cut some little metal tabs off the flat piece. We've got the original bent piece, so we're going to go and sort of stick them up by the bike, see what presents itself. A little bit tricky to film this, but the sort of basic idea, if I can get down here, is that the tabs there might go either side of that and be welded on. The gap at the top might be too big.
I mean, there is a gap required for sort of the dependent on the ground and everything like that, as you'll see with other bikes, but I think that is, as you say, probably a little excessive.
Okay, so we need to work a plan out for that.
I've already got an idea.
We've decided to bulk out the top piece, or the top bit of this, with another little jobber here. So we're just going to weld it on the top, basically, weld it up there somewhere to bulk out that top piece. Here's one we
Splodged earlier.
Yeah. God, our welding is not fabulous, but perhaps what you might call functional. So we're going to weld this one on here and then see where we end up over there. This is where we're up to then. You can see it's starting to look a little bit more like a side stand. It's not yet being welded along here, so it's just component parts at the moment. We've got the two little key looking efforts with the bulking out metal on the top. So we're going to offer this up to the bike. We're doing all this by eye, by the way. We're not really measuring anything.
Big time eyeball fans.
Oh, big fan of the eyeball, the Mark 1 eyeball. So we're going to Mark 1 eyeball this, and then, you know, we'll start welding it and see.
Then early learning centre bodge weld.
Yeah, see how we get on in a bit. We are at this point.
Some ugly progress.
The point where it is attached. I think Kieran's done a decent job of joining that. It's not the prettiest weld in the world, but it is entirely functional. You might be able to see which side is it. There it is. We've put a little washer in there, just tacked it in, just to help take up some of that space. So what we're going to do now is put it on the bike, lean the bike over and see whereabouts it's sitting and work out what needs to come next. Well, this is our test fit. We've just got a super long nut and bolt thing at the moment.
Just what fits.
We're going to put a kind of pad thing on the bottom, so we've just pretended with a bit of wood at the moment. We did try it before. It was leaning over a little bit too far because the arm was coming too far this way. So what we've done is up in there,
added a bit of meat.
We've just we've just added some metal in there just to bring it back so it stops there. And it seems to be a good angle of lean. That hard to show you really without getting up, and I'm quite lazy. So yeah, I think that's a good amount of lean. We need to obviously find something to use for a foot pad. We need somewhere to attach the spring, and then obviously there's all the painting and finishing, etc. But it's going all right so far.
Little idea of perhaps one of them jobbers.
Yeah,
it's a bit of fun.
All right, well, let's have a look around, see what we can find. Well, boys and girls, we've decided to use what was previously the front sprocket. So the old front sprocket is now going to be the foot pad for the side stand. So we're just going to clean that up, take some of the gnarly points off it so it's not entirely lethal to myself or pedestrians, and then we're going to weld that on. Woo. There we are then. The side stand now has a foot pad, previously the front sprocket. I think that looks pretty cool. What's left to do then? Obviously there's nothing holding this at the moment, so I was just looking at springs. I have one or two kicking around from old bikes, so I'll see if I can find something that lends itself to this. Issues I can see are that at the moment the bolt head would push this spring off, so it might be a spring that's got a long straight section, might be what we need. and then we need to weld on some kind of a nubbins for the spring to attach to once I know which spring I'm going to use. It is the 27th of November and we are resuming work on the side stand. We've got a spring that looks kind of likely. Here we are. We had to go down to the bike breakers to get one because I didn't have one that sort of presented itself nicely. But anyway, we've got a spring now. We're just working out where to weld on the nubbins to hold it at the moment. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to get that positioned up and get that tack welded on just to test everything before doing it fully. So that's what we're doing now. We've got that positioned on the stand where we think they might want it. You can see we're just using a bolt. There's also a nut on there which will move, allowing us to clamp the spring if we need it. But basically, that's it. We're just going to tack weld that on and then test it.
Yeah, got a hold of that.
Test firing in 3, 2, 1, ignition!
But I think that the better magic is on the return there.
Well, bugger me if that ain't a side stand. Yes.
Ignore that.
Ignore this spring. We just use this spring to pull this one on, and we'll take that off. But yeah, hot damn.
That's a nice return there. That is almost like we planned it.
Are we pleased?
Hell yeah.
Cool. A side stand. So I need to take that back off again and clean up the welds.
Because I made a mess.
Yeah. And then paint that black. But all in all, that's pretty cool. So I will take that off, I will paint it, and then we'll put it back on, and we'll show you the finished product shortly. But for now, we've both got to go to work, so that will have to happen another day. Boo! The next day. Here we are then, it's off the bike. The welds are cleaned up. We've decided to add a little protruding piece just to help get the stand up and down. So to that end, I've been rooting around in the scrap metal bin again and found this, which presumably some kind of a coat hanger. We're going to take the end bit off because it's already got an appropriate angle on it and weld it on. Boom shakalaka. There we are.
Well, it is lacking lacquer.
It is lacking lacquer. But it does now have a little thing so that you can raise and lower the stand a little bit easier when you're on the bike. So that is the side stand finished, apart from paint. So we're going to paint that and get it stuck on now. 2 coats of Hammerite later. There we are then, everyone. The side stand is finished and on the bike. Excellent. The quicker way to do this and get the springs on, rather than trying to hook it up here and pull this spring over this nubbin, we found was to keep the stand off altogether, to hook the spring on there, and then use the stand itself to give you the leverage to push this end up onto here and then put the bolt through. Significantly easier doing it that way. But yeah, that is the side stand. Kieran, you would demonstrate that. Look at that.
Pang.
That's all right, that. I'm happy with that. And to think that was a stool, I think we've done a pretty good job. And buoyed by our success here, we are moving on to our next stool-related project. So that's how to do the side stand. Join us for the next project soon. If you liked this video and our genius bit of ingenuity, give us a like. If you got any questions, leave us a comment. If you like Kieran's face, remember, you can always tell him, leave him a comment. And if you want more CG related items or other bike related items, then remember,
even car, vehicular type anything.
Yeah, we do sometimes do that also, as you'll notice. But yeah, if you like what we do, remember to subscribe. It does help us, it does encourage us to do more videos. Thanks for that theme tune. Wave goodbye. Hello.
Hello.
See y'all next time.